Duke Nukem, and you're watching Tim's Tiny Arcade, mother effer.
Alright guys, so we're going to use rarityguide.com to, for the loose copies, right there where it says L, $3. I'm using their list of games that they have on the left there, and I'm going to choose 5 games off here that are loose and worth $3 that I think are worth playing today, and definitely are super fun games. So let's jump into my top 5. All right, guys, so for the $3 and under top 5 games, my first game on my list for number 5 coming in would be Freeway by Activision. This was written by David Crane, and it came out in 1981. It's a 1 or 2 player game. I'm obviously playing 1 player. You can see there's a chicken in the lower right, so if I had another player, we could be competing against each other. But the object of the game is just to make it across the 10 lanes of the highway, get to their side. Every time you get there, you would earn a point. If you get hit by a car, you get forced back just a little, but and depending on the difficulty level, sometimes you go all the way back to the beginning. So the winner would always be who scored the most points. But, I mean, if you didn't have another person to play against, you could try to get the patches, and you could do that back in the day. Activision would have you take a picture of your score and send it in. You had to do that on game mode 3 or game mode 7 and score 20 or more points, and those were pretty difficult levels to do it on. This game reminds me a lot of Frogger, which came out the same year. So trying to cross, in Frogger you'd have to jump across the road and then into the, across the river or whatever. But very fun game, and for under $3 and under, this is number 5 on my list. All right, guys. So number 4 on my game list is Lock and Chase by Mattel. This was an arcade game that was by Data East that was put on the Atari by Mattel. They also had it on the Intellivision. Both games are good. It's a cop and robber kind of game where you just, you're the thief and you're trying to stay ahead of the police, picking up gold bars. They keep, chasing you around. Kind of like a Pac-Man game in a lot of ways too, because you're eating dots. You can also hit a button and put a door down to try to block the police, but random gold bars and stuff appear for quite a few points if you can get them. So your objects to get all the dots or money or whatever you want to call it on this level without getting caught. And once you do that, the door at the top will open and then you can escape. But super fun game. Really enjoyed this one. All right, guys, so number 3 on my list, Barnstorming, another Activision game. This was designed by Steve Cartwright, came out in '82. You got to take this biplane and go through a series of barns and windmills and weather vanes and geese. And there were 4 different game modes, and you're trying to get there the fastest you can without hitting anything, getting through the barns. There's a counter there on the top. On the level I'm playing, you'd have to get through 10 barns. And it was a time-based game. You could get a patch in this game back in the day. I think game mode was 33.3 seconds. You could get a patch, and then the different game modes you could get different times to get the Activision Flying Ace patch. But yeah, for a $3 game, super fun, and this comes at number 3 on my list. Number 2 on my list was Jinx. This is my 3rd Activision game on my list. Activision made some of the best games. This came out in '82 from Bob Whitehead. Object of the game is to try to get around all these pylons with this biplane as fast as you could, avoiding the trees, the hot air balloons, and the pylons. You could accelerate and decelerate. This game took a lot of skill. Never owned it as a kid, but bought it a few years back, and I've really enjoyed playing this. Super fun game. Had 4 different courses you could play in the different game modes. But for $3, this is a steal. If you find it one of the better games, I think. All right, that comes to number 1, and that is Space Invaders. As you can see, I have 3 different copies of Space Invaders. This was the first ever arcade to home game license, became a huge bestseller for the Atari. It really got the Atari 2600 selling the systems when Space Invaders became available for the home market, and everybody wanted this game. 112 different games, and I'm playing this right now in black and white mode because I have a glare, so if that's what you're thinking I just have it on black and white mode. For some reason I had a glare, so I just put it to that color where it wasn't showing a glare. But anyway, you could have moving shields at the bottom, invisible invaders. This game was a little bit different than the arcade, but close enough. I mean, there was only 36 invaders instead of 55 in the arcade. And you only had 3 bunkers at the bottom instead of 4, but it was definitely Space Invaders. And being only like a $3 game, it's a very common game, super fun. Played this one a ton as a kid. And here you can see a different game mode of Space Invaders. You get your money's worth with this one. Score-based game, and eventually they're going to get you. They just keep marching down closer and closer. I always liked this version better than the arcade for some reason. Maybe it was a little bit easier, but yeah, this is the invisible invaders, and they only show up like when you would hit one of them. So anyway, guys, I want to thank you for watching this video. And let me know in the comments what you think of my list for the $3 my top 5 games. And until next time, guys, keep on gaming.